It was not quite the night the Democratic candidates for president were expecting. They left Iowa either last night or this morning, not knowing who won the caucuses. They are now campaigning in New Hampshire, which holds the nation's first primary vote a week from today. What happened in Iowa and what happens next is our topic in Around the Table, Campaign 2020. And joining me around the table is former Pennsylvania Governor and Republican Tom Corbett. And as we do go around the table, we find two Democrats, which is appropriate since it's their party that's trying to choose a nominee to run against President Trump. Jim Byrne is former chairman of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, and we'll also find Joe Mistick around the table, who is well versed in Democratic politics. So let's talk about Iowa first, gentlemen. Jim, as a former state party chairman, this has to be a nightmare. I mean, this is sort of a fiasco that's happened in Iowa. We still don't know who won.
Any state party chairman's worst nightmare is lack of organization on the most important day of your calendar, endorsement day. Absolutely. The thing about this is it gives the Republican Party a little bit of an opportunity to poke some fun at the Democrats. How can you trust a party that can't even count? Which ironically is exactly what I said 8 years ago when Mitt Romney was declared the winner in Iowa, and 2 weeks later it ended up being Mitt Romney and the controversy ensued. And we used that as a talking point the entire 2012 cycle.
Well, it was Rick Santorum that unfortunately lost that. And I have to say, last night I was watching it with fascination. And I don't usually watch MSNBC, as you can well imagine. But I was interested in watching everybody moving around. With military background, I'm used to order. Sure. That was chaos and not even controlled chaos.
Yeah, and we still don't know who the winner is. And Joe, that leads to the question here that it's not the delegate count that these guys are looking for out of Iowa. It's the momentum that they can get to try to drive on their campaigns later in the year.
That's right. And it was a disaster in those terms. The good news here is that this might finally mark the end of using the Iowa caucuses as the first gatekeeper in the selection of our presidential nominees, perhaps even for both parties, because Republicans did have that problem in 2012.
All right, now we're not even going to get the results from Iowa for at least another 45 minutes or so. Pete Buttigieg gave his supporters an indication that he is victorious. Elizabeth Warren this afternoon says 3 candidates did well: Warren, Sanders, and Buttigieg. Joe Biden says he did well, but it's too early to say much more than that. So that does not sound like a guy who's have a lot of confidence that he's going to come out of Iowa very well.
They're all trying to claim high ground, and we don't even know what the ground looks like yet. And at 5 o'clock at the top of the news hour, we're still not going to know because 100% of the Iowa precincts still will not be reported at that time. I liked what Bernie Sanders did earlier today. He pivoted with a nice tweet that talked about a good, productive process in Iowa, reminding everybody that the first primary is a week away in New Hampshire, and he used it to fundraise. So
and when we know, we won't even know because you can't trust the results.
That will be the response.
That's going to be the response on that. What did the Republican Party deal with when Santorum actually won but did not win, according to that?
Well, I think it was so many weeks later.
Yes.
That it really didn't have the effect that this is going to have. But it did bother them. I think we had a very good candidate, Rick Santorum, hometown boy. It would have been very interesting to see how that race would have come down. I don't think it probably may have made that much of a difference. But you know, to have won but been told that you lost is wrong. What I think is tough is for Biden right now, because it's going to really reduce his ability to fundraise over the next 2 weeks, unless he's doing his fundraising based on what he thinks he's going to do in South Carolina.
Before we move on to New Hampshire very quickly, Iowa caucuses stay or go as a caucus?
It has to go.
Has to go. Jim?
It's time to say goodbye.
It's participatory government that's in chaos. It has to go.
It has to go. All right. Well, as I say, we're going to move on to New Hampshire now. And this, as you're going to see now, is the latest poll in New Hampshire. Is compiled by Real Clear Politics. This is the average of them. Sanders has a substantial lead. How much momentum, though, does he have now? Jim?
I think he has momentum. I think he was showing some strong preliminary numbers in Iowa. He was looking to have a very good night last night, and maybe within 24 hours, hopefully within the next year, we'll know how he did yesterday in Iowa. I think, and what he did today, irrespective of the results, to pivot right to New Hampshire, I think he's going to, what's his home state? He'll have a good night.
Joe, we're really getting down to 3 or 4 or 5 candidates down there. Do the gloves come off this Friday night in the next debate?
Well, they may or they may not. They have to remember that the enemy here is really Donald Trump. You know, they're not each other's enemies at this Democratic function.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. And coming up a little bit later in this newscast, we will go around the table once again to take a look at the impeachment trial and the State of the Union.